Welcome to our second video on the grass-fed breakdown. Today we have a flank steak that I'll be prepping for the end consumer at the retail location in New Iberia. This comes off of grass-fed cattle from the Gonsoulin Cattle Ranch. The flank is on the animal, would be the section sort of in his stomach, sort of close to his hind leg. When I pull this out, there's some connective tissue and stuff and seams that I want to get out of the way. So when I pull this off, there's a liner here that I want to get up under and pull out of the way so I can get to that muscle. It's a real flat muscle that's real long grain, which makes it good for making fajitas and different tender cuts that a lot of people pass up, that I think is a very good steak to offer.
And Caleb, a lot of restaurants now are offering flank steaks on their menu. Is that because they're finding more value-added areas to use on the cattle?
Yes, sir, and you see this in a lot of Mexican restaurants. You might not see it as flank steak, but most of your fajitas, your quesadillas, any of that beef or steak you ask for in your fajitas, this is what you're gonna get. So this is a very long muscle. You can sort of see the grains, how long they are like that. So what a chef's gonna get once you grill this, it's sort of gonna thicken up. So you'll take that, and since the grains are running long ways, what I'm gonna come in here, trim this up, and then make some steaks. And that's what you're gonna see is these little bites that are gonna peel apart real easy and tender. So that's why when you get cuts like this, it pulls apart real good and it's a real tender steak to eat. So once we finish that, and that's sort of clean this up a little bit, and that's sort of besides what I cut off there, we packaged this, and that's what you would see inside of our retail establishment. So going on, we're gonna get into the brisket. I'm gonna trim up a brisket. So the brisket comes off the chest plate or the sternum of the animal. When we come in here, you can sort of see this bone is still in it, and we're gonna pull that out, trim some of this external fat off, and then get into it. So when I come in here, I'm gonna try to find where that bone starts and that muscle and just follow the bone. And then once that bone's out, I'm gonna come in here, pull some of this external fat or internal fat out of the way. Come in, square it up. And the preference on briskets, on the amount of fat, you want that fat on there, protect it, but you don't want just you don't want to be paying for fat. So we like to come in, trim some of that fat off, but leave enough on there to protect it when you smoke it. And a lot of our customers, they like a little bit smaller brisket, between 2 and 3 pounds, just something they can take home in the evenings and put in the oven or put on the pit and cook it for just the evening. That's normally the thickness you're gonna see of a brisket. Once you slice that and cook it, it'll end up.
And that would be considered a boneless brisket, right?
Yes, sir. So as we move on, this is the skirt steak. This is the inner skirt, and this would be the outer skirt. And the skirt, the inner skirt is a diaphragm muscle. Same kind of concept as the flank steak. It's for, most people use it for fajitas or quesadillas or something in that nature where they're wanting to eat it with vegetables or something that's gonna pull apart and not be real tough. And what I'm doing is just pulling some of this liner out of the way. And all you do is, there's not much to it. Come in here to this liner. Well, and that liner just pulls away from the muscle.
And that's just connective tissue right there.
Yes,
put it
sir.
off.
You wouldn't want to leave this on here. It's real chewy. Would not be a pleasant thing to eat.
Wow, so it just peels off that way.
Yes, sir. And it protects it in the cooler. That's why I like to leave it on there while the carcass is hanging, because it protects that muscle from drying out.
Right.
And once you come in here, still got a little bit along the edge, trim that off, that'll go to grind. Normally that's how we would package it for you to buy it at the grocery store or at a retail location. And this same concept with the inner skirt. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, but still in all the same concept. And I'll get into the tissue and how it's grained out.
And they'll use the thicker part as fajita too, Caleb, or they use that one for a different?
It just depends. The thicker ones, they'll just come in there and make it a little. They can slice the steaks a little bit thinner.
Gotcha.
They come in there since this one's a little bit bigger. But since these grains are the same thing, they're real long. They're running this way. So what I'll do is come in there, and you want to cut it across the grain. And that's what it just makes the meat pull apart real easy.
Gotcha.
And makes it really tender to eat. That's going to conclude our second video. I hope y'all learned a little bit about what we have to offer here at GLC Processing, and stay tuned for the next videos to come.